A question from a grade 3 classroom in Chilliwack, British Columbia, Canada. Could you please tell them how old was the eagle you saw, the Wahlberg's eagle you saw, and why was it mantling? How wide is the wingspan compared to bald eagles, and how many chicks do they have, and how often do they breed? It's from Mrs. Edwards and class.
Okay, cool. Well, I presume you guys are still with us on the vehicle here, enjoying these birds as well. Mrs. Edwards and her class from Canada, grade 3s, which if you haven't been in school for a while, makes you guys about 9 years old, which is a great age to start learning about wildlife. It's difficult to answer those questions exactly in detail, but that Wahlberg's eagle we looked at earlier, in terms of its age, I would say probably was how shall I put it, like a young mature bird. It didn't have the look of a young bird anymore, but it had the nice dark coloration. So that means that it's sort of mature enough already. And what's interesting about Wahlberg's eagles, I'll come back to its size just now, but in terms of their breeding, is that they breed, or that they're migrants first of all. So they fly up to the northern hemisphere in our winter, and they come down here and they breed in the southern hemisphere in our summertime. And what quite often happens, and we're lucky enough to have that nest close to Juma as well, close to our camp, is that the youngsters, after they've sort of grown up and matured enough to leave the nest, they'll stay one winter season in southern Africa or in the southern hemisphere, and then only start migrating once they're sort of 2 years old. In terms of the breeding, typically if you have a pair, they will breed normally once a year when they're in the summer environment in the southern hemisphere. And in terms of the size, they're not very large eagles. They sort of medium size. I'm not exactly sure of the size of the American bald eagle, or the bald eagle as you guys would have in British Columbia there. But the bald eagle is actually closely related to the African fish eagle. They look very similar, and would be probably about 20% larger than the bald eagle. So in terms of the wingspan, the wingspan of a Wahlberg's eagle, I would guess the bird is about 55-60 centimeters, just over 60 centimeters tall. So the wingspan is probably about 1.20 m, which is about 4 feet, 4.5 feet. Whereas, and you guys can go check this up maybe this morning if you want, but the bald eagle, like I said, I don't know them that well, but I would guess their wingspan is probably about 5 feet or so, maybe slightly more even. And also the bald eagle is much heavier, sort of stockier bird. I think that covered most of the questions. Nice to have you guys on drive with us. I'm always very excited to have young minds and young people on the drive. I think it's awesome that you guys enjoy this kind of thing. Oh, Solly and them, one of the game drives from Boyatilla. Actually, if I'm ask you guys a question, grade 3 class, they just asked the question about the Wahlberg's eagle. Just trying to work out my times here, and I'm not quite sure what time it must be with you guys. It's British Columbia, I guess 9, very late afternoon. I guess you guys are all the way to the western side of British Columbia.